Good morning. Welcome back to the Celtic Way morning briefing. Yes, I'm back from 2 weeks holiday. I'm a Haggerty10 on the X and Twitter handle. Good morning, and I'm joined today by Josh McCafferty at Josh McCafferty7 on the X and Twitter handle. Good morning, Josh. How are you, sir?
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much, Tony. Good to see you back in action after an absence. So, looking forward to it.
I am indeed. I go away for 2 weeks in the world spins on its axis. Nothing seemed to happen in the world of Celtic, and then all of a sudden players are coming in and we've got all sorts of stuff to look forward to. But first and foremost, we say thank you to our sponsor, Seneca Medical Group, and they're the number one hair transplantation clinic in the UK. And Seneca Medical Group will be with us for the whole of the 2025-26 season, sponsoring the daily morning briefings as well as the pre- and post-match shows throughout the season. So we say thank you to them. You can check out Seneca Medical Group on their socials. Guys, thank you. Yes, welcome back. People getting in touch saying welcome back. Thank you very much, guys. Was away for a fortnight there. Had a lovely week in Benalmadena, whatever way you want to call it, Josh. Absolutely Scotsio, 32, 33 at times. Too hot for your old dad here, but hey. Anyway, it's starting to hot up. It's Celtic, Josh. Bit of signing news yesterday. Fulham hot prospect, or ex-Fulham, highly talented 19-year-old Welshman Callum Osmand has finally checked into the building. 4-year deal subject to international clearance, Josh. Now, I know you did a backgrounder on him when or it was certainly Celtic signalled their intention that we were going to sign him, but he's in the building now, Josh. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's been a while actually waiting for the announcement. I feel like it was a good 2 or 3 weeks ago that I wrote that kind of profile of Callum Osmond. Yeah. So good to finally see the announcement made. I think it's an intriguing signing in the sense that he's not played a senior minute, and Celtic have announced him very much that he's going to be part of the first team. So he clearly is highly rated by the recruitment team, by Brendan Rodgers. It's actually the first signing I think Celtic have made to the first team who is actually younger than me, which is quite a depressing thought. I'm getting a bit old now. So he's just 19 years old, not played a senior minute of football, but he's played a lot of games at Premier League 2 level. And that's a high level. You see a lot of players from teams like Manchester City not playing a senior minute and them getting sold from Premier League 2 teams for 10 million, 15 million pounds. So Celtic have gone for a minimal cross-border training compensation fee in the 4-year deal, like you say. He's going to be around for a long time. Celtic have had a lot of success signing players that have been in Fulham's academy. Mr. Dembele, Matt O'Reilly was there. It was nice to see Callum Osmond actually in his first Celtic TV interview speak about the phone call he had with Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly saying how good of a place it is and how much he'll enjoy it. So I think there are high hopes for him at the club. He described himself as not a traditional number 9, a more mobile, quick striker, looks to get in behind, press, and I think that'll suit the style that Celtic implement down to a T. So I'm interested to see how it goes. Obviously, we don't think he's going to be the starting centre forward, but when he gets those opportunities, let's just see if he can take them.
You mentioned something there, Josh. He's not played a minute of senior football, but in his first interview with the club TV channel, he said he's ready. He's ready to take that step up. And it was Brendan Rodgers alongside Matt O'Reilly that helped sell him on a move to Celtic. He'll have watched. He's clearly name-checked Moussa Dembele and Matt O'Reilly, and obviously Patrick Roberts had a spell in the Fulham Academy as well. So he clearly knows his history in the sense that he'll have watched on as those players left Fulham. Some of them eventually ended up at Celtic via Manchester City, via MK Dons, in the case of Roberts and O'Reilly, respectively. But good old O'Reilly for doing the recruitment agency job there, and selling Celtic as both an entity, as a club, but also the supporters as well. And it's clearly something that's had a big impact on him, because he said, and he mentioned the pathway. So clearly Brendan Rodgers has got an idea of how he's going to blood him in and introduce him into the first team. So I have to say, the fact that he's not played any first team minutes doesn't worry me at all, Josh.
No, it doesn't worry me either, to be honest. And I think the manager he spoke about for over a year now, probably almost, he's wanted that young third choice striker who's going to come in. I think Osmond very much fits that bill. So he'll be coming in looking to get minutes here and there and take his opportunities. when he does get them, the club when they announced him, highly rated was the phrase used, and I think highly rated at Fulham and highly rated by those at Celtic as well. So the fact they've got him, he'll be the third choice. Then you have Adamida, and then I expect another striker to come in the door as well between now and the end of the window. So it's been a good start to the window, the fourth signing, and we're at the 1st of July. I think that's the most signings that I can recall Celtic making this early in a transfer window. So as I said yesterday, excuse me, on the briefing, club are being proactive in the market, not reactive so far, but there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and I think as well, Josh, and I mean, I will make any firm judgments when I see him, but I think Osmond could well be the surprise package of the signings that Celtic make.
He could. He could. You just need to wait and see. You obviously don't know how a player is going to play until they pull on the jersey and they turn out. But I think the signs are that obviously you see some his goal scoring record for Fulham in the Premier League 2 was decent. He scored a hat-trick in a cup final against Tottenham that Fulham won. He's clearly got the talent. He's clearly got the quality at that level. It's can he step up? A big part of it as well as being a young player. Brendan Rodgers talks about you need that personality and you need the attitude. And I think Osmond's, like you say, in his first interview, saying that he's ready. I think that says a lot about his attitude and his personality, and he certainly backs himself to get there as well. So yeah, it could be a surprise package, very much so, because I think people are expecting Tierney obviously to start regularly. People know what we're expecting from Ross Doohan, know what we're expecting from Benjamin Nygren somewhat. And then Inamura is going to come in the door. He's one you don't really know what's going to happen. But yeah, Osmond could very much be the surprise.
It's that belief. I watched the interview yesterday and I sensed a lot of belief from him that he's now ready to kick on. He's ready to put everything that he learned at Fulham. He wants to put that into practice at Celtic. And I think that he's had that conversation with Rodgers. He decided to come, north of the border. But I don't think he's going to be content to just sit on the bench and cool his heels. I think he really wants to pose a question and say, Adamida, Dysenmider, listen, if I get a chance here, and my phrase is still the yellow jersey, as they say, and if he gets that yellow jersey, I think he'll want to run with it. And, again, looking at his highlights reel, he scored some wonderful goals. I think he just wants a crack at senior football now, because he mentioned the phrase senior football, didn't he?
Yeah, and I don't think at Fulham he was ever going to get that because they're in the Premier League. They're probably very reluctant to throw in a young striker at 19 years of age, hasn't played a lot of minutes. But at Celtic, he will get the opportunity to play. There's 50 to 60 games a season now across 4 different competitions, 2 to 3 games a week at times, and there's no winter break, the ultra marathon, as Brendan Rodgers says. So there is going to be opportunities for the young man to come in and play, especially with injuries. You never know what's going to happen. Adamida could be out for 3 months all of a sudden, and then Osmond's suddenly thrust in some big games. So yeah, that'll have been part of the reason why he's coming. He's not going to, like you say, come to warm the bench. He'll be coming with a guarantee of a certain number of games, a certain amount of minutes, and it's just about can he take the opportunity. And with strikers, a lot of strikers, it's very much a confidence game. We know that with Adamida. And if he can get himself off to a good start, there's a good couple of friendlies coming up, Queen's Park, Cork City, then you've got games against the likes of Sporting, then you've got Newcastle. So it's an opportunity in pre-season for him to stake his claim early doors without Celtic having another striker building yet.
Now, the obvious comparisons are going to be with Moussa Dembele.
Yeah.
Celtic got him for the nominal fee, 50 grand or so. And funnily enough, when Moussa Dembele came in, he was second choice behind Lee Griffiths. So Lee Griffiths got injured, and then he came in and he scored a hat-trick against Rangers and never really looked back. Now, I'm not comparing Callum Osmond in any shape or form to Moussa Dembele. I'm just talking about the historical context and the background context to it. But it would be nice if he did a similar thing, wouldn't it? It'd be great. And again, looking on that, Callum Osmond has to see that and think, right, it happened for someone like Moussa Dembele. I have to make it happen for me. I want to make it happen for me.
Yeah, and I think the players, Dembele, like Matt O'Reilly, have kind of shown that there is that pathway at Celtic where they can come and they can get that opportunity. Like you say, he's a totally different player to Dembele. I think Dembele is a tall, kind of physical striker. I think Osmond's more kind of mobile, quick, nippy, a bit more like Kyogo Furuhashi in that sense. Also, it's just a bit of a lazy comparison, but you know what I mean by that. And yeah, you'll see that pathway, and it's one a lot of players have utilised at Celtic well. They come up for a minimal fee, and that's the whole trading model of the club, as we like to say, that these players can come up, they can get the opportunity, they can play in Europe, they can play domestically, win trophies and increase their value, and then go on. And no doubt he'll have his eyes in 3-4 years' time on a Premier League move, on a move back down south to play in the Premier League regularly and playing for the Welsh national team. But Celtic will be that stepping stone for him. Can he come in? Can he do what he... The interesting thing as well will be his first game, his debut for Celtic will be his senior footballing debut. So whatever happens when he goes on in future, he'll have started out his career, technically senior career at Celtic. So he'll always be one of Celtic's own in that sense, technically.
I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing him, Josh. I have to admit, I want to see what he'll bring to the table. And you know, for me, he's young and hungry, and that's what I like about him. And as you say, if this guy hasn't played any minutes of senior football, he'll be desperate to impress, and he'll get a chance. And you know, it doesn't seem like that long ago when we broke off for pre-season, but Celtic are going to play their first pre-season game against Queen's Park on Friday, and you know, that's a chance, isn't it? Because a lot of the senior players aren't going to be back, and you know, let's have a look at him, see him in the flesh, and see what he's got. Yeah,
definitely, and make no mistake as well. I think it's an important point to have. Brendan Rodgers saying in January he wants a number 9. I don't think Osmond does that number 9. There will be another added to the books, I assume. But yeah, good opportunity for him against a Queen's Park Championship side. Can he come in? Can he get a couple of goals? You don't know. But I think what this means for the future of someone like Johnny Kenny is that his future probably doesn't lie at Celtic this season. The club have obviously reportedly rejected a £500,000 bid. The reports are that they're wanting £1 million for Johnny Kenny. But I don't think the Osmond signing bodes well for his future, which is a bit of a shame. And the manager's certainly putting all his eggs in the Osmond basket going into the new season.
Yeah, because Johnny Kenny came in at the tail end of the season and, you know, scored against Aberdeen. There's a lot of feel-good factor around that. Now all of a sudden, you know, could be willing to listen to offers of £1 million and over. And that would suggest that Celtic feel that Osmond is that number 9 and third choice striker that Brendan Rodgers wants. So we'll need to watch that one closely. But yeah, that would seem to indicate that would be the case for Johnny Kenny, which is a shame. He got limited game time, but he showed up all right, Josh, in the game time that he got in the tail end of the season. Yeah,
and that shows how highly rated Osmond is by the club. They're willing to put aside Kenny to bring a guy in who's not even played a senior game. So it shows how highly they rate Osmond. But yeah, Johnny Kenny, I think he never let himself down with his performances. He always gave 100%, played pretty well, got his goal up at Pittodrie. His penalty in the Scottish Cup final was one of the best out of the lot from Celtic on a poor day at the office. And yeah, I think if he does leave permanently this summer, it's a shame it never really worked out for him at Celtic. But when he did play, he didn't do too bad. He could have easily had a winning goal at Ibrox if Dyson Maeda squared it to him at the death. Then he would have been iconic forever. But it just wasn't to be, and I don't think it's ever going to be for Johnny Kenny at Celtic. Still got a year left on his deal, so it's not even one where, for example, you could send him out on loan, then reassess him next summer because his contract's up next summer. So it probably is best, especially with the Osmond signing, to kind of part ways with Kenny now. And if Celtic can get £1 million or over for him, then I think that's pretty decent business as well.
Now the players are back in training. Josh, as you've been watching the kind of footage from that, have you gleaned any information from that? Have you been impressed with anyone at all? Or?
From the limited footage that the club put out, I don't think I can tell much from what's going on. But all I do know is they were back to double sessions over the weekend. So I'm sure they'll be putting in that graft, working hard, and the guys in the training pitch with Rodgers, Kennedy and the like. But yeah, a lot of fringe players back in, people like Gustav Lagerbielke, a lot of youth players up training with the first team at the minute as well. So as we've alluded to previously in the briefings over the past week or more, that the Queen's Park game is very much an opportunity for guys like Sean McCardle, perhaps your Jude Bonners of this world, to come into the team and get the opportunity, because they'll have been training since the team returned to pre-season at the end of last week. So Yeah, it's good to see everyone back training. You know, it kind of really confirms that the 2025-26 season is fully underway. So yeah, and I'm sure Osmond will be training with the team now ahead of this game on Friday.
Yeah. Now, Mark McQueen coming in and saying he just wants to see Kieran Tierney and Dyson causing problems this season. Is that something you're looking forward to yourself, Josh?
Yeah, certainly. And that'll be a nightmare for those right backs across Scottish football. Kieran Tierney bombing down that left-hand side along with Dyson Maeda. But I'll be intrigued to see what the kind of tactical setup of Celtic is going to be this season, because I think there will be adaptations from last campaign, and Kieran Tierney is going to be a big part of that. We saw Greg Taylor so many times last season inverting into that kind of role in the midfield, whereas Kieran Tierney is a totally different player to Greg Taylor. And I think that has implications for how the team sets up, how Brendan Rodgers implements his style. Obviously, there are main principles to your tactical style that you don't change, but the setup can alter in the game. So I'll be intrigued to see what happens with that. But Maeda and Tierney on that left-hand side is a scary prospect, isn't it? I think that could give any right backs, not just in Scottish football, shivers, but across Europe shivers as well in the Champions League. So if Tierney can stay fit, I think having those two on that left-hand side could be absolutely massive for Celtic going into this season.
What's your thoughts on, I've not had a chance to speak to you about Benjamin Nygren, however you pronounce his name. He's another who's rated a hot prospect in Celtic. They've seemingly performed their due diligence on this and got him in, and not for a heavy financial outlay. But again, another whose highlights reel looks very, very good, Josh, and could fit the bill. And everybody who has spoken and commented on him says he's an exciting player and he will get the fans off their seats, which is all you can ask for really from a winger, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a very exciting and very astute piece of business by the club, Benjamin Nygren. You know, I think if he didn't have 6 months left on his deal, if he had 2 or 3 years left on his deal, he's a player you'd be signing for £7 or £8 million. Of that, I have no doubt. He's just breaking into the Swedish national team, and he's only 23 years of age, yet he has over 200 senior games of football under his belt, so vastly experienced already. He's a proven goal scorer in the Danish league, 16 goals in 32 games last season, can assist as well, and he's versatile. He can play as a number 10, he can play on the right, the left, he can even play as a number 9. So I think it could be one of the club's best pieces of business this summer. Benjamin Nygren out with getting Kieran Tierney for free. So yeah, I'm very excited about that signing. I'm really looking forward to seeing Benjamin Nygren play. Another thing, he's got big boots to fill taking that number 8 jersey. You know, Celtic have had a lot of legendary number 8s. Kyogo Furuhashi, Scott Brown, the list goes on. I don't think there's ever been a flop for Celtic that's wore a number 8 jersey. So he's got a big responsibility with that shirt on his back as well. But yeah, I'm excited to see not just him play, but where he actually plays, where the manager sees him at his best, because Nicholas Kuhn had a sensational season on the right last season. Is he going to stick around? I'm not so sure. So could Nygren take his berth in the team? Could he come in and play a more kind of creative role at the top of a midfield 3, or could he even play up front as a number 9? You don't know, and that's what's very exciting about it.
Mark McQueen coming in saying McStay, the number 8s.
Yeah.
Pete McGee coming in and saying he's really excited to see Nygren. His stats are great and he looks like Matt O'Reilly, Mark II. I will refrain from putting any labels on them, Josh, till I see them myself. But he is a player who people seem to be raving about. And also, again, I'm delighted at the fact that both players have mentioned at their interviews recently, Nygren and Osmond, that when they spoke to Brendan Rodgers, that was it. Their mind was made up. So he's obviously got persuasive powers to say to these guys, look, your future lies here, and we will take you to where you want to go in terms of your career. So Nygren obviously sees Celtic as another positive step in his career, and will also, no doubt, be thinking longer term as well. But he'll have watched players come in and earn moves on the back of having a great couple of seasons, 2 or 3 years at Celtic. So Celtic aren't daft, supporters aren't daft. We accept that these players are, in monopoly terms, are passing, going, collecting 200. But while they're here, Josh, we want them to give 100% commitment to the cause and to the club. And if they do, it's a win-win situation for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think Benjamin Nygren and guys that are coming in are definitely looking at people like, for example, Matt O'Reilly, who come into the club from MK Dons in the English third tier, comes in and 2.5 years later he's got a big multi-million pound move to one of the most up-and-coming teams in the English Premier League. You look at Nicholas Kuhn, who comes in from Rapid Vienna, who are probably of a similar standing in terms of where they play their football to Nordsjælland, the Austrian league, the Danish league are quite comparative in that sense. And 18 months after that, Kuhn is about to probably get a move to a top 5 league in Europe because he's played so well. So that will be the carrot for Nygren, for players like that coming in. If you play well, if you get goals and assists, if you impress with your performances, not just domestically but in the Champions League too, you will attract suitors, and that's only natural. So that will be the motivation for these guys to come in and play well. And like you say, it's a win-win situation, and that's the whole transfer model of Celtic, to bring these guys in and look to make a big profit. And for example, Nygren, he's signed a 5-year deal, so he's contracted at the club until 2030. So if he impresses in the next, if he has a good 3 seasons, and you sell him for £25 million, that's basically £24 million profit on a guy who you've had for 3 years, which would be quite incredible business. And that's obviously looking too far down the line now, but that's the whole model, and Celtic have been very successful implementing it, and it's clear that they're trying to continue to do that with these types of signings as well.
Nygren coming in, does that spell the end for Kuhn? Do you see Kuhn apart from the moves with Kuhn in the next couple of weeks?
I expect him to leave this summer. Would be my opinion on it. Who he goes to, I'm not sure. But yeah, and does Nygren come in and take his place? I'm not sure. I generally don't know where Nygren's going to play, just because he's that versatile. But if Kuhn goes, I think it could be Nygren that plays on the right. He's a similar he's a left-footed player, so he could cut inside the way Kuhn liked to. He's not as quick as Kuhn. But yeah, it'll be intriguing to see where he plays. But yeah, I expect Kuhn to depart. How much? I'm not sure. I mean, 15 million was the fee that's been kind of mentioned over recent times, but I think Celtic could get a bit more for Nicholas Kuhn than 15 million, in my opinion. I don't know about you.
I know. Listen, 15 million is a figure that's been bandied about, but I don't think Celtic will be settling for that at all.
Yeah.
To be honest, and Celtic hold all the cards here, don't they? Because Kuhn's tied down on a longer-term deal as well. And I have to be frank and say Kuhn had a wonderful first half of the season. It tapered off in the second half of the season. Came back on the boil just before the end of the season. But if that's the case, then so be it. And he's wanting to leave, but nobody's really made any comment on it. It's just been kind of, I wouldn't say speculation, isn't it? But if you're asking me if I would like to see Kuhn leave, I wouldn't. No, I would like to see him stay, actually, if that is the case. But if he wants to go, then you have to let him go. But I think Celtic, like yourself, can hold out for more than 50 million. I think he's proven on his game, and especially that first half, that he's more than a £15 million player in my eyes. But if that is the fee, then and he wants to go, then I certainly wouldn't want to keep an unhappy player at the club, Josh.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a happy medium, in the sense that Celtic are getting what they deserve in terms of a fee, and Kuhn is happy to make the move. Obviously, you don't want him to stick around if he's unhappy and he wants the move. But if a club, for example, are only willing to pay £15 million, then Celtic should in no way let him go. So there needs to be a balance struck in terms of Celtic get what they deserve, and Kuhn is leaving a happy man. So I think if they could get 20 million plus, then I think that would be decent, because he's proven domestically that he can do it, and in UEFA Champions League as well, scoring 2 goals against RB Leipzig, scoring against Bayern Munich away from home, numerous other assists. So at the top level, he can cut it. And listen, if he stay for another year, then he could still definitely get his move next summer if he continues to impress and does well over the next 12 months. But it's ultimately probably up to him, and it'll be his call whether he's going to be happy to stay for another year. And it'll be his decision at the end of the day. And like you say, you don't want to keep an unhappy player around. We've seen how detrimental that can be in the past. So you need to, part of this transfer model that Celtic have is selling at the right time.
Yes.
And it feels like this summer could probably be the right time to sell Nicholas Kuhn for, if they get a decent fee, of course.
Yeah, I think somewhere between upwards of 20. I would be certainly. I would certainly listen to that, Josh. 15, I'm kind of like, I'd rather he stayed, because I think they could get more. But again, it's the unhappy player thing. If he's pushing for this, then I guess some happy medium, as you say, or compromise has to be reached. So we shall see what happens in the coming weeks, but it's all very intriguing. Anyone else you think could be on the way out the door, Josh? Or
I think there's so many fringe players in the team, Tony, that could certainly move on without weakening the squad. So players like Gustav Lagerbielke, I wonder whether Marco Tilio is going to get a chance in pre-season. For me, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
You've got Luis Palma coming back. I don't think his long-term future is at Celtic. So that's just 2-3 players off the top of my head that certainly could and probably will depart this window. So, yeah, there's fringe players, and if there's interest in people like Rio Hatate, Daizen Maeda, the club and the players want to move on, the club will have to listen to offers if they get decent fees for them. But you don't want to lose. I think 2 would be the maximum for me, players of that ilk that you could afford to lose in a window. Once it goes beyond 2 and you're getting into the category of kind of 3 big players moving in one window, I think that's a bit much. But if there's 2, for example, if it's Kuhn and then one off Hatate or Maeda, obviously you don't want it to happen, but if you're getting enough money and the players want to move, then you kind of have to accept that. But I don't think they can afford to lose more than 2 for me. But there will definitely probably be interest in Hatate and Maeda. And Hatate has always spoken about his desire to play at a higher level than Celtic, and he is getting to that age now where he's 26, 27, where could be kind of his last opportunity for a big move. He had a really good season last year. He only missed 2 games, and that was the last 2 games of the season because of that horror tackle from Pat Gay at Pataudry. So he did very well. It was one of his best campaigns. I think it was his best goal-scoring campaign in a Celtic jersey as well. I'll be intrigued to see what lies ahead in terms of Maeda and Hatate this summer if there's going to be interest.
I think the cup final showed you exactly what you were missing with Rio Hatate.
Yeah, definitely.
Nothing will convince me that Celtic would not have won that cup final if had Rio Hatate been in that midfield. But he wasn't, and they didn't. So we move on. Mentioned the cup final, Josh. But yeah, I am again. The first pre-season game rolls around on Friday, and people say you don't read too much into them. But Celtic got so much benefit from the American tour last year, where the likes of Nicholas Kuhn came to the fore with wonderful games against Chelsea and Manchester City. So I want to see those young players, if they get a chance, the likes of Sean McArdle and Callum Osmond. I'm really intrigued to see them. I just want to see their attitude as well, because I remember this time last year watching Bosun Lawal and Odin Thiago home against Queen's Park, and we spoke to Brendan Rodgers after it, and he said that they had to do more if they wanted to be part of his team. I mean, he made a point of mentioning both of them and saying, nope, if you want to play in my team, you have to do more. And I thought, wow. And it kind of signalled the end of Bosun Lawal's Celtic career. He ended up leaving, and Odin Thiago Home has gone on a long-term loan to LAFC. So, the manager's all over this, Josh. He's watching everything. And guys, when they get their opportunity, even if it's in a pre-season game against Queen's Park, he's looking at everything. He's assessing everything. Your attitude, how you're going to play, how you fit into his team, how you follow instructions, how you settle in with your teammates. He is all over it. And that's the important thing for me, Josh, how these guys cope with that.
Yeah, definitely. Because as much as you can do it in training and you can impress a manager in training, it's in a game that counts. It's a game situation that counts and impresses most, and it's what the manager and the coaching staff are looking at most in the games. And obviously guys like, for example, your Sean McArdles of this world, they're not going to get a lot of minutes when it comes to league football and cup football. So pre-season is their opportunity to come in and show the manager what they can do and impress. So for them, it's big games. And like you say, last season we had Nicholas Kuhn come to the fore and he really impressed. This campaign, could another kind of guy on the fringes of the first team who's not really had a great campaign last time out, could they come to the fore and very much impress? Because after the kind of Queen's Park and Cork City games, no disrespect to those clubs, but after that it's good opposition, it's decent opposition. It's Sporting, Newcastle, Ajax, it's good teams. So it's a great opportunity for the guys to come in. It's going to be intriguing to see the team. on Friday night. I think there will probably be 2 different 11s in each half. Usually the case with these types of matches, but yeah, very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, because Francis Turley came in last year and scored, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Guys like that, and the manager bigged him up and praised him, yet he didn't see many first team minutes, despite impressing the manager. But listen, you just want to see what's around in terms of the youngsters coming in, and also Osmond intrigues me greatly, I have to say. I'm looking forward to see what he brings to the table. Nygren as well, hopefully he'll feature too at some point in these games. You would like to think so, wouldn't you? Just build that fitness levels up and just get them used to being in that environment, when even they say pre-season results don't matter, Josh, but it always matters when you pull on the green and white, doesn't it, in any game?
Yeah, 100%. A mini Glasgow derby, you could say, against Park. So yeah, it'll be a good game. It doesn't feel long ago, that Scottish Cup final, and it just shows how much these players have to graft. They have to work. They only get a couple of weeks off a year, then they're thrust back into action. So yeah, and after this, it's full steam ahead. I think the international break isn't until September, so a good solid 2 months of football. Celtic back in action. So yeah, let the good times roll, as they say.
And with that, we'll call it a day on the morning briefing for Tuesday, the 1st of July. I'm happy to be back. Thank you for all your well wishes and saying welcome back. Thanks very much. Josh, another stellar contribution, sir. Always enjoy talking to you, fella. Lovely job. And we'll do it all again tomorrow, as we have been doing throughout the season. And we'll be there on Friday as well when the ball starts rolling again, Josh. Can't wait.
Very much looking forward. Very much looking forward to it.
Bring it on. Guys, have a wonderful Tuesday, wherever you're up to. Josh, thank you very much. Take care. And we'll see you all tomorrow.